Hey everyone, welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Carlie. I am a knitter and yarn dyer coming to you from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Today I have quite a bit of knitting to share with you all, and I'm super excited to talk about it today, so let's get into it. So let's start with my first finished object, and that is what I'm wearing, and this is the Wabi Sabi Cardi by Milena Juhola. And I'm very excited about this one. This one has been on my queue for a really long time, maybe over a year, and I'm just so excited that I finally got to knit it up and that I get to wear it now. And I actually also used some yarn that was in my stash for over a year as well. So altogether, it just felt really good to finally have this done, to use up this yarn, and to knit this pattern that I've been eyeing up for such a long time. This is a top-down drop shoulder. It's got really cute toggle buttons here, and it's also got a lateral braid detail, which might be a little hard to show on camera. And then the lateral braid is down here as well, just above the ribbing. The lateral braid is also supposed to be on the sleeves, but by the time I got to that point, I was just so over the lateral braid. It's not even difficult. I just don't enjoy doing it, although I love the look of it. And where I was at mentally that day and physically, I was just like, I cannot be bothered with another lateral braid. So I just went stockinette, and I am happy with it. I think it still looks really great. And this is like a bulkier weight yarn, but it's also very lightweight. And so I knit this with the intention of this being my spring jacket, which I think will be absolutely perfect. I've had this done since March 17th. So I knit this February 22nd to March 17th, and I don't even know what the date is. Oh, it's the 21st of March. And I've already worn it like 3 or 4 times, so almost every day since I've finished it. So I think this will be a really well-loved, well-worn piece for me in my wardrobe. And I use the Sadness Garn Fritteds yarn in the color beige, which is color 3021. And I'm really happy with it. It's just a really beautiful off-white with some heathering to it. A really pretty natural color. And I've just been wearing it mostly buttoned up to this point. It does have 2 buttons up here. I find the collar a little bit tight. I know that my gauge was definitely off, both for stitch and row gauge. So I did have to adjust some things. I did have to knit longer for each front panel and the back panel. And after doing the short rows at the back here, I did have to knit more than what was recommended, just so I was able to get the proper length that I wanted. And I also had to knit longer on these button bands. So you pick up the button bands after you pick up the stitches for them. And I did, I think, like 3 more rows of 1x1 ribbing for the button bands, mostly just because of my button choice. They're quite wide, as you can see. And if I had just done the amount of rows suggested for the button band, the buttons would have surpassed the button band, and I just didn't like the look of that. So I just extended the button bands a little bit, and then I did the same thing for the collar, just so they match the same width, because I hate when things are mismatched like that when it comes to like cuffs and button bands. So I just kind of kept it all cohesive in that way, and I think those were most of my modifications for this sweater. I otherwise followed it to pattern, and yeah, it was really nice. It went by quickly because it's a bulkier weight, and it's just so nice to have done and to be wearing. And I really love wearing it with this white shirt, and I just pair it with some light wash jeans, and I just think it looks so cute together. I love it, love it, love it. And it was really funny when I had it done, it was drying for like 3 days, this sweater, and I could not wait any longer. I had to wear it, and I was like, okay, it's slightly damp, but I don't think it's gonna be that bad. So I put it on, and then I don't know, I was driving, and I was like leaning my back against my car seat, and then I like leaned forward and I was like, what is going on? Why is my shirt all damp? So it was definitely not dry enough to wear yet, but I didn't realize it was that damp. I thought it was going to be dry within like half an hour of wearing it and getting airflow through it, but that was definitely not the case with this yarn. It just really held on to that water and soaked it all up. And yeah, I misjudged that one, but it dried throughout the day. And now it's fully dry and I can happily wear it and be warm. And yeah, I just could not be more happy with this piece. So yeah, very, very excited to have this, and finished it at a really good time because it's officially spring now and the weather is slowly starting to get warmer, but I definitely need a jacket, definitely need some warm layers on still. So I think this will just be a really good transitional piece in the spring and fall, and obviously in winter too. And then on cooler summer nights or mornings, I can wear this. I think this would be really nice, sweater / jacket to have in the mountains during the summertime too. Like when we go camping, and then in the early morning, late night when it cools off a little bit in the mountains, this would be a really nice layer to have. So yeah, I'm really excited. I really want more pieces like this. I've been trying to knit more cardigans this year, and I've just been getting so much wear out of the previous cardigan I knit, which was the Field Day Jacket by Ozetta. I wear that piece to death. I know I'm going to wear this piece to death, and I just am wanting to have more of these pieces because I do get a ridiculous amount of wear out of them, and they're just so practical. And I'm really not bothered by the purling aspect of it. I think I've just become pretty comfortable with purling now, and yeah, I'm not bothered by it at all. And it's funny what your mind does and what you tell yourself. I hope the lighting's okay. It might be getting a little bright. No, I think we're okay. Never mind. Anyways, it's funny what your mind does, and you think, you hear everybody say, oh, I hate purling, and then you kind of think, oh yeah, maybe I hate purling. And then you create this story, and then I actually go to purl, and I'm like, this isn't bad. This is not unenjoyable. I actually like it. I am slower at it versus knitting, but it's not like it gives me hand pain or anything. And it does kind of forces me to slow down a little bit. And I do like that aspect of it. So purling has become something that I enjoy now, and not something that I loathe going into a project. And changing that mindset just does make the project more enjoyable. So yeah, I'm just excited to have more cardigans, and actually excited for the process of making them too. So that's pretty much all there is to say about this. I did talk about it a lot in my last podcast episode as well, when it was just a whip. So I won't go on too much about it, but I do have 2 other pieces that are done. I have talked about them before, and they're smaller items, so I won't drag on about them at all. But just really quickly, I want to mention I did finish the Vaffla mittens by Maja. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce her name, but everything's linked down below, and it'll be on the screen as well. So Maja Akerstrom, and I knit those from December 16th to March 17th. So that was kind of a long project, but I kind of got the second mitten syndrome, I guess. I never get that for socks. I never get the second sock syndrome, but I got them with these mittens. So it took a lot longer, but they were just so beautiful. I love looking at them. And they're going to a very good friend of mine, and so I'm so excited for her to have those mittens. And I used the Juniper Moon Farm Patagonia, the organic merino, the fingering weight, and it was colors 133 and 148. And the whitish color was gifted to me by Knitting Fever, and then the goldy color was one that I had in my stash already. So yeah, those were really enjoyable, even though it took me a long time and I was dragging on. They were really enjoyable and such a beautiful piece. Their work of art is really fun to do the color work for that. So yeah, I would recommend. And I mentioned before that there was a mistake in the pattern, but it has since been fixed. So if you're interested, definitely go check that one out, and check her out because she has a lot of beautiful other colorwork mittens available too. So the other piece that I finished is my socks for my sister. And these are just some plain vanilla socks, works from the cuff to the toe. I just did a short row heel, and I knit these from March 5th to the 11th. And this was in Rico Designs Superba Skywave color number 1. These are obviously some self-striping yarn here, and it was really fun to knit up. Just really fun, bright colorways. I mentioned this in my previous podcast episode, but if you missed it, I was knitting these for my sister because she just expressed how much she really loved her hand knit socks and loves wearing them to bed, and they're the only thing that keeps her feet warm. So I was like, I gotta get on more sock knitting for my sister, and I was knitting these at her house in the dark late at night, and this little blemish appeared on the part of the sock that I was knitting, and I was like, what is that? I could not tell. And then the next morning I saw it was a blue strand, which was from her daughter's Elsa dress that she wears all the time as her to be a princess. And I kept it in there because it's just so special. And sorry if you've heard the story already, but I just want to mention again because it made those socks so special for me while knitting them, and seeing that little strand of blue in there from my niece's princess dress, and then my sister just knowing that she has a little piece of her daughter in her socks, even though they're just socks. I don't know. Now they became super sentimental, special socks. So that was just like a really fun little happy thing that happened with those socks. But yeah, those are all my finished objects. I've mostly been working on this sweater here. That was my main focus. And then just a couple of tiny projects sprinkled in there too. And I find that that's what I really enjoy doing lately, is just having like a main project, whether it's a sweater or a top, a garment of some sort, and then have socks or a hat, whatever, something smaller on the side. I really like that balance of going between the two. I also really love having at least one Colorwork project and then just one color stockinette whatever project, and I can go between the two, and it kind of uses different parts of your brain, different parts of your hands, I guess. I don't know, and just creativity, because it's so fun putting colors together for color work. And then on the other hand, it's sometimes just nice to work with one color and let the pattern do its thing, or let the pattern designer and following the pattern just go ahead with that. But then with color work, it's nice to just kind of have a little bit more creative freedom there with the color choices. And speaking of color work, we'll go into whips now. And my first whip, I'm really excited to show this one. This is kind of a half-finished object. It's a pair of socks, and I just finished the first sock last night. And these are the Springfrost socks by Saskie Co, which is formerly the Petite Knitter. And these are all over Colorwork socks, and I am currently working on some new colorways for my online shop, and just dyeing up some sample skeins and seeing how the color knits up and how it lasts and all of that stuff. So I just wanted to make a little sample piece, and I guess I'll just show you now before I keep babbling on. These aren't blocked yet, so these are just freshly off the needles, but I still need to block them. They are worked cuff down. So this is slightly modified also, and I did something silly, which was, I don't know what was going on in my brain, but I'll explain that later. I did 20 rounds of 2x2 ribbing, and then I started the color work, and I don't know what was happening, but I started the color work from the top of the chart to the bottom, and with color work you start from the bottom to the top. So yeah, that was weird. And I think I just read the color work completely the wrong way, which I've never done before. And I've done color work quite a bit now, and I've always started from the bottom and read it from the right to left. I did this from the top and read it from the left to the right. Like what was going through my brain there? I have no idea. Not that it really matters. It's not like I have a picture and now it's upside down. It's just all these beautiful different patterns in here, so it doesn't really matter. But it was just weird that I did that day. And another modification that I did, I guess switching the color work was an unintentional modification, but an intentional modification I did a short row heel instead of a afterthought heel. I just kind of wanted to get the heel done with. I do really enjoy afterthought heels, but sometimes it is a little annoying to have to finish the sock and then go back and have to do a heel again. So I just wanted to get the heel done with, so I went with my go-to short row heel, and I did the purple color for the toe to switch it up a bit. And I think on my next pair, I'm going to start with the purple cuff, purple heel, and then I'll do a pink toe. So these colors are all naturally dyed. This is the Karlie Paige Fiber Co, the BFL base. And I'm really loving how these colors are playing together. I think they look really beautiful. I can't wait to wear these. They're so pretty. I can't get over it. And I've just been really drawn to Saskie Co's designs lately. I've just felt drawn to them and pulled towards them, and I really want to knit more of her stuff. This was my first pattern from her, but I've been admiring her work for a long time now. So I'm really excited that I got to cast on one of her patterns. And yeah, I highly recommend this if you also enjoy doing Colorwork socks. They are really addicting and fun. And what was I going to say? Oh yeah, this is 3 colors, obviously. So the pink is unnamed. It's just a new color I'm working on. The yellow is the colorway Butter, which some of you have purchased, I believe. And thank you for that. And then the purple is also a new unnamed color. So I really love how they all look together. And with this, it's mostly working 2 colors at a time. There are some parts where you're working 3 colors at a time, for example, like right here in this little like diamondy motif. And here again, and then in some of the zigzags, I believe you might be working with 3 colors, but it's nothing major. It's pretty simple. And I actually didn't catch any of my floats this time around. I don't know, I must have just been on another planet the day that I cast this on, because I also didn't increase the number of stitches on my needles after the cuff, which is something I do every single time for Colorwork socks to ensure that it fits over my heel, because I have a ridiculously high instep, a really high arch. To the point where I'm standing on the ground, you can like see through my arch because they're that high. So I have a really high instep, and it can make it really difficult to pull Colorwork over my socks. So I realized that about this far down into the sock, and I really didn't want to pull back. So I just kept going, and I really made an effort to knit looser. And thankfully, these fit over my heel, which is a miracle. I've never been able to do that without increasing the number of stitches after the cuff. So that's amazing, thank God. And yeah, they're snug fit, like it's pretty tight, but they still look good. It doesn't look like the fabric stretching too much. I'm not worried about the floats like snapping or anything. So it just worked out. It worked out fine, but yeah, I don't know where my mind was when I started these. I was doing a bunch of weird things, but I love them. I can't wait for the second pair, because I'm not going to be too concerned about following everything exactly. They might be slightly mismatched, but they're going to go together really well. Just they're the same colors, but slightly mismatched, and I think that'll be really cute. And yeah, I don't know, the amount of happiness I get when I look at this and when I knit on it is like another level. So if you also enjoy Colorwork and sock knitting and love putting colors together, I just could not recommend this enough, because it has just been such a happy, fun project for me. And that's just like that's the best. That's what knitting and crafting is all about for me, is just when you get that wave of happiness when you're working on something and seeing it come to life. There's just no better feeling sometimes. So yeah, this definitely did that for me, and I could not be more excited to wear these, and very excited to cast on the second pair. How pretty are those? They look so beautiful. I just can't stop talking about them, and I can't stop looking at them. Okay, probably time to move on to the next whip now. And this was like kind of a spontaneous cast on, but I've also worked this pattern before. So this is the Rib Lace Raglan by James and Watts, and I knit this almost exactly 2 years ago. It was March 2023. and I knit myself a version. I just had one skein of fingering weight yarn from Ancient Arts Yarn, which is local to me, local dyer. And yeah, I just did this pattern, and because I had just enough yarn, but of course it turned out super cropped, and it was really cute, but I just was never going to wear something that cropped. And it was enjoyable though. I really did enjoy the process. And I've been wanting to make another one for a long time, so I finally did that. I finally cast on, and since the release of that pattern, and since I knit it last time, he has added neckline shaping. So before there was zero shaping, and now in the pattern that I'm doing, the 2.0 version, there is neckline shaping. So the back is higher and the front is a little bit lower. There's no short rows in it. You just knit flat back and forth for a while before you cast on more stitches and then join in the round for the front. And which is nice because I think doing short rows in this lace pattern would be quite difficult to figure out for like the pattern writer as well, and just for the knitter. I feel like it could be kind of tricky. Anyways, I'm fully joined in the round now. This is a Raglan top down, and there's not much to show, but this is what we have so far. It's a really beautiful, simple lace design, and what I really love about it is for the Raglan seam stitches or whatever, there's 3 stitches for the Raglan, and I just like that chunkier Raglan look sometimes. So the part down at the bottom of the screen, I can see my head through here, it's weird. The part at the bottom of the screen where there's less fabric, that's the front, and then up here at the top is the back. So you can see there's more fabric there. I'm just moving along on this. It's been so enjoyable. I remember the first time knitting this, the first few rounds, I was so confused. Although I was like a newer knitter then, not newer, but less advanced than I am now. So it just took a while for my head to wrap around what I was doing with these Raglan increases and incorporating the pattern. Now it just clicked so well for me, so it's just been super enjoyable to work on. And I also, with this one, I feel like I am getting into some sort of flow state when I'm working on it, which again is all I want when I'm working on a project. It's just such a nice meditative place to be. And so it's been really enjoyable. And I just started this, when did I start this? March 19th, so just 2 days ago, I think. And I actually, okay, so I'll back up a little bit. This yarn is Elspeth Lavold's Silky Wool in the color Fresh Snow, and it's a blend of silk and wool. This was gifted to me from Knitting Fever a while back, and I have knit with Silky Wool before, and I love it. It's a really nice summery spring yarn because it's super lightweight and it's got that silk content in it, and I just love working with like wool blends with plant or silk fibers blended with wool for spring and summer. It's a really nice combination for me, and so I thought this would be a really nice spring summer top. And I think, and just being that it's airy with all this lace in here too, and the combination of this yarn, I think it's going to be a really great piece for spring and summer. And I am contemplating, I think I'm leaning towards doing a long sleeve version and just doing straight sleeves so it appears that it's kind of bell-like. I think that will be really beautiful in this all white. And I really love wearing like flowy white shirts, and I want this to be more of a flowy fit, so I did go with the size 2 just to give myself a bit more positive ease. And this is also considered a DK weight, although I think it's more of a sport weight. So, and the pattern calls for a fingering weight, so I'm thinking I'll get a little bit larger of a garment and a little bit more oversized, not completely oversized. I'll just have like a few inches of positive ease, but it'll give me that flowy, like breezy look that I'm going for. And like I said, I love pairing that type of style with a really like pure white like this. I just love that look. So I am very excited to have this in the bell sleeve style. I think it'll just be so perfect for me, and I love that type of style, and I know that I would wear this all year long, no question. So I am very excited about this piece too. I think lately I've just been really choosing the right patterns for myself and been really happy and pleased with all of those decisions. Like sometimes I get in a rut and I'm choosing all these patterns and it's like I don't quite know what I really want at the moment. But lately it's been so clear, and so it's just made my decision-making process so much easier. Although saying that, I did have a bit of a struggle with this yarn in deciding what pattern to do with it. I had initially wanted to do the Seesaw sweater by Victoria Chaplina, and I did buy the pattern right away, and I am going to be making this. This kind of falls into plans as well. But I cast it on with this yarn and I just could not get gauge with it at all. So I did it holding it single. I cast on this sweater and it just looked way too open and too see-through. And so then I held it double and then it was way too dense and thick and it just felt like a heavy winter sweater, which is not what I'm going for at the moment. So I ditched that and I was searching. Then I remembered I had this rib lace Raglan in my library already, which is a bonus. I'd love to work from more pieces or more patterns that are in my library. And so yeah, that's how this came to be. But I really am planning on knitting the Seesaw sweater. I actually have some drop spell in stash that's left over from a project, and it'll be enough to do a tee, I think. So I would love to do a tee version of this Seesaw sweater. I think I want to do, so short sleeves obviously in the garter, but I could also swap out that garter for the lace, which I'm contemplating doing. So I'm thinking it'll just be garter on the front and back panel. I'll do the lace short sleeves and then continue the lace at the bottom. And I want to do the garter panel a little bit longer than what the designer did, so it hits me at my smallest part of my waist, and then I'll start the lace part for about maybe this much, not too long, because I do like it to come just below my high-waisted pants. And I think that'll look really cute. And I don't know if I mentioned, but the drop spell that I have is black. And drop spell is mostly cotton. It might be a cotton linen blend. I can't fully remember. But that'll just be a really nice summer tee to have. So, yeah, I kind of mixed my whips and my plans together there, but they are connected in a way. But I think that I'm very excited about both of these pieces, this rib lace Raglan and that Seesaw sweater. I also want to make that Seesaw sweater in a sweater version too. I think that'll be really pretty. But if you haven't heard of Victoria Chaplina, and hopefully I'm saying her name correctly, her last name, but she has a lot of beautiful designs, so definitely check her out, and the Seesaw sweater is linked down below too. That's all that I've been really working on knit-wise for the last couple of weeks. It's been, yeah, just, if you can tell, I've been really enjoying all of my projects, and that's been so enjoyable. And I've had a lot of sewing on my mind lately, but I want these finished pieces, but I have not had the motivation to do any sewing. You may have noticed in the background of my videos back there, that jacket has been on that mannequin for months, and I am so close to being done. I just have to fix like 2 things in this jacket and then it's done. And of course, it'll be done just in time for the warmer weather. And then I also have a top underneath it that I just have to do the hem for the sleeves and the body. And then I'm done. And I just cannot get myself to do it. I have zero motivation for sewing. And I don't know, it could be those actual projects. I did not enjoy the process of them. So I think it's a lot of that. And I really desperately just want to start a new project. I actually really want to do a project and naturally dye the fabric and then make a top out of that. That's what's really making me excited at the moment. But I don't want to start that project without finishing those pieces behind me, just because I really don't feel good about doing that. And I cannot get myself to finish them. So I don't know. I'm not going to force it. I'm just, whenever I do feel motivated, I'll go ahead and do it. Because if I sew when I'm not motivated to do so, I always make a mistake. I always have to do something like 3 times instead of just once. I don't know what it is, but I cannot force myself to sew. So yeah, I would love to get into sewing again soon, but I'm just not going to force it. I'm not going to rush it. And when the time is right, I'll finish those pieces, and then I'll finally be able to get into some spring and summer sewing, which will be so exciting. I actually bought a lot of beautiful fabric in the fall for my birthday, a little present to myself, and I haven't used any of them yet. Or no, one of the tops back there, I used it, but I have to finish it. So yeah, hopefully in the next few weeks I'll have some sewing to talk about as well. And yeah, that's pretty much all there is to talk about. All right, thank you so much for being here today and hanging out with me. I hope you got some work done on your project and had some nice downtime. I really appreciate you all being here, and I will see you all for the next one. All right, bye.